Hi everyone. So today we will be discussing further concepts of biodiversity, and the most important problem associated with biodiversity is the loss of biodiversity. So the loss of biodiversity basically refers to the constant degradation in the biodiversity or the amount of biodiversity we have around Earth. It can be natural due to natural reasons, but the reasons that we have today in the 21st century are mostly anthropogenic, caused by humans. So there are four basic causes which have been identified, and they are known as the evil quartet. So evil is bad, quartet means four. The four include habitat loss and fragmentation, overexploitation, alien species invasion, and co-extinction, out of which this is partially a natural process, but we will break each of them down. So what is habitat loss and fragmentation? So let me give you an example. The Kaziranga National Forest that we have today was basically a forest area in which the Brahmaputra flows through one end, and on the other end there is a mountain range. Every year, Brahmaputra, which is notorious for its flooding, floods, and what the animals used to do was that they used to walk and reach the mountains where they would be safe for the monsoon, and when the water receded they came back. But recently a national highway has been built right through the center of that forested area, and on the left with the Brahmaputra there, it has been marked as the Kaziranga National Forest. The mountain is on the other side of the national highway. As a result, animals every monsoon, when they try to cross the roads, are getting trampled by the cars. They are not being able to reach the mountains, they are getting washed away by the flood waters, and therefore we are facing a serious problem of habitat fragmentation. So when you have a habitat of an animal, of a species, and you fragment it such that they cannot move around freely, that's habitat fragmentation. Loss of habitat is, if this is the complete, so this is habitat fragmentation, right? So loss of habitat is, if this is the whole habitat, you decide to take this much and convert it into, let's say, a grazing land for your animals. So you fence it off, right? Or you convert it into buildings. You bring it into the city boundaries and you stop animals from entering. In recent days, in places like the Sundarbans, also some in places around Pune, near Mulchi, there has been spotting of leopards, the Royal Bengal tiger in the Sundarbans. Why? Because the jungles belonged to them, it was their house. And then we decided, because we wanted to expand our cities, we decided to move and take parts of those jungles or those forests and make them into human habitation. The moment it became human habitation, they lost their space to stay, and with that their resources for survival, especially food, and therefore they encroach into human land in search of food, where they are eventually killed nowadays, because there is a lot more awareness around animal life, so they eventually always do not get killed, but even then their numbers are dwindling because of this reason. So the most common reasons for habitat loss and fragmentation has been urbanization, overgrazing, deforestation. We are cutting plants for our benefit, and therefore the forest area is decreasing. The Amazon rainforest, which has the highest biodiversity in the whole goddamn world, is decreasing, right? So therefore habitat loss and fragmentation is a problem. The next is overexploitation. This humans are top predators. By nature, most top predators in nature are modest predators. So they only predate when they are hungry. If a lion is full and it has a prey in front of it, the lion will not chase it, because one, it is waste of energy for him. It is already full, right? So why will it waste his energy and kill? Because they will not eat carrion flesh. They are not organisms that eat dead and decaying matter. And two, because they don't need it. But humans are the only top predators in today's world that are not modest. We store and eat more than we need, and therefore we are over exploiting The ocean bed, for example, for coral, we want to decorate our roads with coral for no good reason. We are over exploiting trees. We have more things that we need, and those things come at a cost of the forestry, of animals, right? So from ages old, we have been using ivory for no reason. We've been killing elephants for their ivory. We've been killing cheetahs and tigers for their skin, for decorative purposes or for clothing. So all of these over exploitation has led to a decrease in biodiversity. Next is alien species invasion. Now alien doesn't really mean the alien that we think about, that we see in movies. No, it basically means exotic species. So what is an exotic species? Endemic species refer to the species of one country, and exotic means of out of the country or region, right? So for example, the Royal Bengal tigers are endemic to India, right? But the armadillos of Brazil are not endemic to India, they're exotic to India. So what has happened is, over the time, as humans have traveled across the earth, they have maybe liked some organism, or for agricultural purposes or for business purposes, they have brought in animals from other countries to your country. Let's say, for example, to India. What has happened as a result is that this exotic animal or plant that has come to my country has started invading or spreading so fast that it has destroyed the habitat of our endemic species. So what has happened, for example, in the case of Ecornia, it's known as the terror of Bengal, but it's not only available in Bengal, it's found all over India. You will notice there are ponds which are completely covered with green hyacinth, right? It's water hyacinth. Water hyacinth was brought into India because they have beautiful purple flowers. When they were brought in, there was no idea that they were invasive in nature. When they came in and they started growing them, they invaded the whole water bodies of India and therefore caused eutrophication and other problems, which led to loss of aquatic Indian endemic species, right? Similar thing has happened with Parthenium, the Congress grass. Nile perch, it was introduced in the Lake Victoria, and what it did was it spread so fast that it led to the extinction of a species, an endemic cichlid fish species. So therefore this is a problem where bringing something from the outside, an exotic species, causes death or extinction of endemic species in that country. Moving on to co-extinction, we discussed the yucca moth, right? So the yucca moth, what it does, in an orchid, the orchid looks like the sexual deceit wala example that we did. So the orchid looks like the female, the male comes and copulates with it. Now imagine for the bee, male bee comes and copulates with it. Now imagine for some reason, if the flower was to change its appearance, right, due to some mutation. As a result, what will happen is that the male will fail to identify it as the female, will not pseudo-copulate, the flower will not get pollinated, right? In the case of yucca moth, it goes and lays its eggs inside the yucca flower, right? Now, if the flower changes shape, the egg deposition will not happen, and therefore, if one species will go extinct, the flower goes extinct, the moth will go extinct too, right? Because they are codependent for their survival. Okay, so these are the 4 basic reasons for which we have loss of biodiversity. Now, IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, has classified something which is known as the Red Data Book. The Red Data Book classifies species on Earth based on multiple criteria. The criteria are such: extinct. So extinct matlab something that does not exist on Earth anymore. It used to, it doesn't anymore. So your dodos, dinosaurs, all of them, cheetahs very recently, right? Extinct in the wild means these animals are not found free roaming anymore. What do we find? We find them in certain conservated places where we are trying to inbreed them and grow them so that we can have a viable population again. Coming to critically endangered, now there are parameters based on which these 4 classifications are called the threatened species. The The parameters are based on how much their population size has reduced, how much the region within which they could be found has reduced, and what are the chances of their extinction within the 10, 20, 100 years, right? So now within the next actually 20 generations or 50 generations, like that. So now, critically endangered means organisms that have had a reduction of 80% or more in their population size from what was. The whole region has reduced to 38.6 square miles, right? So the total region has reduced to this much only, and there is a 50% extinction chance within the next 10 years. So they're very, very critical at this point. Endangered means they also have 80% reduction in their population size. Their region has reduced to 1930 square miles, and there is a 20% chance of their elimination in the next 10 years. That's roughly 20 generations. Vulnerable refers to organisms where 30% or more of the population has been reduced or has died. The total area in which they are found today are 7722 square miles, and there is a 10% chance of their going extinct in the next 100 years. 100 years sound very long, but in the scheme of world where these animals have lived much longer than humans have, it's not a very long amount of time, right? It's roughly what, 50, 60, 100 generations. Okay, and near threatened refers to organisms which are threatened, less than the threatened group, less than the vulnerable group, but they are still at a risk of going extinct. Other than these 6, you have 3 more classification. The rare species. So the rare species are the kind of species which are already found in a very rare location or in a very small region, and then they are facing chances of extinction. So for example, the clouded leopard, which is found in the northern regions of India, they are already found only in mountainous regions, which is very small in India, right? And then they are facing chances of extinction. So their chances of going extinct would be much higher, right? Intermediate species are species that are going extinct, but the reason behind the extinction is not yet known. We don't know it's anthropological or natural. Lastly, you have out of danger organisms like us, humans, no danger of going extinct, dogs at this point. Not all species, not all breeds, but certain breeds. So that is the total Red Data Book classification of species. I hope this much was clear. I expect you to look up all of these classifications and find for more examples than I have already provided here. Just for the sake of interest, try and develop some interest. It's something that we as the people on earth need to be more conscious about. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.